Welcome to Stop My Crisis. I'm your host, Vivian Gaspar, and we're here today to help every single one of you because I dare say there's probably not a human being who doesn't have fear. Fear is something. What is your fear? And remember the old adage, the number one fear is really the fear of public speaking. The number two fear is the fear of dying. And what do they say that's really unfortunately true is you'd probably rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So let's face these fears and set free the limits on your life. I'm so fortunate to have with us here today Kalliope Barlis. She is a best-selling author of 3 books, and she is recognized as an expert in personal development and peak performance strategies. Kalliope has helped thousands of people become better spouses, parents, and successful people. She went from pro golfer to doctor of acupuncture and now phobia relief expert. Welcome, Kalliope.
Thank you so much, Vivian, for having me.
So tell us, when Gallup has been asked, 51% of Americans admitted to being afraid of snakes. But according to the National Institute of Health, 499 people out of 500 who were bit by venomous snakes will actually survive. So what are they afraid of? Tell us why.
So that doesn't really make any sense, does it, right?
Not to me. I'm looking at statistics and probabilities.
Right, that's right. And so the likelihood of surviving is greater than anything. And so what happens with a fear of a snake, let's say, most of the time, is that it's a great big picture moving in towards the person. And we really don't care about who, what, where, and when it all started. It just matters how they're thinking about it. And once we realize how they're thinking about it, we can change it.
So are there any very common fears that you find as a thread when you've helped so many people?
Well, funnily, a lot of fear of clowns lately.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not.
So the circuses have seen downtick in revenue, right?
Some of them have, indeed. And even for Halloween, this past Halloween, there were a lot of bands. People couldn't play.
Dress up as a clown?
Dress up as a clown.
Wow.
Yeah, as if, and the ban ended on November 1st.
That's crazy.
Isn't that
the
odd?
day after Halloween?
Right.
What a shock.
Exactly. And you sort of wonder, okay, so what happens on November 1st that we put the ban on clowns again? Or take away the bans on clowns.
And maybe they all of a sudden have this fear eliminated because they all met with you first.
Well, could be, could be. And some of the people who came in with the clown phobia, they had seen these movies with clowns who did strange things. And that's what put the pictures in their head.
It reminds you of Stephen King, right?
Well, that's right. In fact, it was that one movie called It, based on his novel, right, that has brought in a lot of people into my office. And probably the worst case scenario was when one of my clients was a mom and she actually left her child unattended in Times Square after seeing a clown.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can imagine how terrible she felt about it.
Wow.
So
this can be real. So eliminating fears can actually prevent crisis, because I can't imagine a mother doing that. I'm a mother.
And she couldn't imagine herself doing that, really.
That's incredible.
Until it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope there was no tragic outcome there.
Fortunately not.
Thank God.
Baby's okay, everything's all right.
Oh, thank God.
But it led her to a point where she said no more.
Wow.
And so that's when she came in to see me. And within a half hour, we took care of the fear, and she dressed up like a clown, regardless of the ban.
So other than clowns, what else is something that's common? A fear of flying, a fear of heights? Forget the snakes. How often in New Jersey or in this vicinity, this tri-state area, do we really encounter snakes anyhow, especially a venomous one?
That's right. In fact, most of the venomous snakes are in Australia. Not as many.
Unless you plan on traveling to Australia, it's not a big deal.
That's right. That's right. And so, lots of people fear dogs, spiders.
Really? Dogs? That's common.
Yeah.
I don't know how much percentage of dog owners there are, but I am.
That's right.
And everyone I know is.
That's right. And most of the time it starts when they're kids.
Oh.
And it could be a little chihuahua even barking in their face, and suddenly they get very, very scared. And as you probably know, when a child is a child, everything is big. And so it remains big when they become an adult. And so what I do is just shrink down the size of the image of the dog inside their minds and blink it black and white. And what that does is just change the thought process.
So there's neurolinguistic training in there somewhere? Or does any of that come into play?
Well, most of the skills I use are based on NLP, are NLP skills.
NLP, just for those who don't know, what does that stand for, please?
It stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
Just want to clarify. I've heard of it, but I wasn't quite sure everyone has known that acronym.
Yeah, and it's just basically a series of skills that are very quick and easy, and actually that's one of the things that makes them so hard to believe is that they're so easy and quick.
So I know a lot of people, for example, the number one fear, is that really still public speaking?
It is.
So, but don't a lot of people's occupations rely on public speaking? For example, if you're an executive, you have to give a speech to the Board of Trustees, or to perhaps you're in sales and you have to do an educational seminar. There's so many occupations, I believe, that rely on the ability to give a public speaking engagement. If they're too afraid to do it, can't that hold someone back in their ability to earn an income?
It's true, and people have even quit their jobs because they knew that they would have to do some public speaking.
Really?
At one of the board meetings.
Well, wouldn't it make so much more sense to see you and get that fear eliminated completely?
It would.
Wow.
Because there is hope.
So, also, I'm thinking about it. When you go through college, and a lot of people now go for higher degrees, such as masters or doctorates, right? When you're going through college classes, you have a lot of situations where you have to give a public speaking engagement there to the class, or forget college, even in high school. So how do you get through that? Because I would think you'd want to tackle that because it can prevent you from achieving in life.
It sure can. And one of the easiest things to do is imagine people being totally interested in what you're saying.
They're hanging on your every word.
That's right. That they love hearing you, listening to what it is that you have to say that's so intriguing to them. Because most of the time, when people fear public speaking, it's because they see people bored of them.
I've given hundreds, if not thousands, of public speaking engagements myself as a keynote. I've spoken about foreclosure, and I actually wonder if someone were afraid of speaking, thank goodness I'm not, what should someone do? Because I really want to address what's so common, and we want to help people go forward in life, not be held back. Can you think of another strategy you could share to help people in general?
Absolutely. If, for instance, they get their family members to sit on the couch, stand in front of them, and actually just stand there practicing and ask their family members, so is this interesting? So that they at least get the feedback that, yes, you are very interesting, you're engaging me. And also, if they story tell, if they use stories to actually do whatever it is that they want to get across, the more intrigued the audience will be.
I'm intrigued in what you're saying, and if there was 50 of me, I think we would all be equally intrigued. The point that you're trying to make, I believe, is if you practice, you also eliminate your fear. Perhaps your family members, instead of sitting on sofas, maybe there's a garage or some space where you could line up chairs as like an audience would be, right?
That's right.
So make it more realistic for what they would encounter in real life.
That's right.
So we have to wrap up now. Can you give one quick little additional takeaway?
That if anyone has any fears, that there's definitely hope, because you can always control how it is that you think about something. And as Dr. Bandler says, when you change how you think, it changes how you feel, which then changes how you do things.
Kalliope, I appreciate you coming to educate all of us on addressing and overcoming your fears and phobias. Simply put, here at Stop My Crisis, we need to not just stop it, mitigate it, but overcome it and move beyond. And if you have a fear that's bothering you, tell me, how are you serving your family, your children, yourself, and maybe you have dependent parents. A lot of generational sandwich people exist. You know, they have small kids to take care of, and they have elderly parents. But if you can't truly make the most of your life, you're not helping anyone. Attack those phobias and fears, and now blossom further in your life.